Customer Commerce Podcast, where technology's fast and biz is a blast.
In life and in business, time is precious. It's why customers stay or leave and why businesses succeed or fail. We're here to give a voice to everything that makes business, whether as a customer or as a CEO, easier and more rewarding. Welcome to the Customer Commerce Podcast. Let's dive in. Welcome, ladies and gents, to episode 15 of the Customer Commerce Podcast. I'm Jess, your host, and joining me from 7 hours behind is the human soundbite, David Brier. And 8 hours into the future, we have Mikel, Lindsaar, CEO and founder of StoreConnect. Hello, and how's life on the other sides of the globe, gentlemen?
The future is awesome. You will love it when you get here.
And the past isn't as bad as everyone's making it out to be.
That's a good point.
At least you know what's happened. There's no less surprises.
Yeah, exactly. I want to kick off this episode. We're going to go into some myth busting, but I want to kick it off with some would you rather questions. Have you guys ever done would you rather questions? Or
Yeah,
is this
I probably. I don't think I've ever been asked them, but
okay. Well, this one can be the official ones. I have a couple. So the first one is, would you rather have an unlimited budget for innovation? This is more businessy. So would you rather have an unlimited budget for innovation but be constrained by strict government regulations, or have full creative freedom but with a very limited budget?
Unlimited budget every time.
Yeah. No. Oh, you want the unlimited budget with the government?
Yeah, because government regulations provide an opportunity for the truly innovative to do whatever they actually need. Like if you're in a situation where you can't, like you've got strict government. I mean, look, I'll give you a perfect example. SpaceX, right? They are probably in the most regulated industry on Earth. They are under Space Administration, Federal Administration, Aviation Administration. They had to kidnap a baby seal and play sonic booms on its head to make sure that the seal population would continue to grow and have kids and babies. I mean, like the amount of regulation that they're under is ridiculous, and easily probably the most, I don't know if you'd say the most innovative company on Earth, but holy hell, what they have done to rocketry, it is truly mind-blowing. They've launched more rockets this year than have been launched by anyone else previously in history.
Wild.
Like, it's just crazy. So that's an incredibly constrained government regulation. They don't have an unlimited budget, but they're getting there. I mean, they're almost the largest internet service provider in the world now. So, that's a thing. You can do a lot of things with money. The other thing you can do with an unlimited budget is lobby the government to change the regulations. So, yeah, at the end of the day, any financial difficulty can be solved by making more money.
And so with that stated, phrase once again your option number 2, so I hear the full option.
So would you rather have an unlimited budget for innovation but be constrained by strict government regulations, or have full creative freedom but with a very limited budget?
I see. It's very interesting. I would take the second, because to me, unlimited creative freedom opens the door to immense prosperity.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is that as well. It's assuming that you can then generate the unlimited budget out of the creative freedom.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you're thinking it from that point of view, yes, I would go the second one. But just in terms of, I've done the fundraising and the company building route, and when you have a very small amount of money and you've got all these ideas, it's an incredibly frustrating experience.
Sure.
So, and it can take years to get to that point. And I mean, from the flip side on that, David, you can go, well, the unlimited budget in a constrictive government environment would mean that I could then build what I wanted and then switch to an industry that isn't constricted and have my unlimited freedom. So I guess, it's
absolutely. Absolutely. No, I totally agree. Yeah. So we both agree. We both agree on both. And
yeah, that's right.
So your rather has become a bother.
Yeah, that's right.
I just had a visual of you guys like, I don't know if you ever participated in debating in high school or in
Yes.
college, but I can see you both absolutely excelling at that subject. Like if you guys went head to head in high school, I would be like on the edge of my seat watching that.
The opposition just proposed that an unlimited budget and strict government controls would create a more prosperous outcome. But clearly and factually, from the evidence provided by the opposition, there's no standing for that basis.
Okay, I'm going to move into the next Would You Rather. This is going to be the last one, and then we'll get into the rest of the episode. Okay, this is the next one. Would you rather people believe everything you say is a lie or never believe anything you say, even when it's the truth?
What?
So,
Where are you getting these from?
And-
It's bloody 7 a.m., Jess.
I know, you're going to wake people up.
I don't think there's enough coffee on the planet for me to even understand your question.
Okay, would you rather everyone thinks everything you said is a lie, or no one believes anything you said is true? Isn't that the same thing?
It's kind of like it's just two variations of the same thing.
No,
it's not, because
I'm going to say.
I think I would rather people.
I want people to dial in.
Not believe anything I said was true, instead of thinking everything I said was a lie, because one of them sets of like if I say something and both of you always believe everything I say is a lie, then you'll instantly discount it. Whereas if both of you don't believe anything I say is true, my message can still land and there'll just be doubt on whether or not it's true in your head, and you'll investigate it.
But if I know that everything I say will be considered to be a lie, then everything I say, I'll just invert everything I say, knowing that, and then as a result, you'll assume that the opposite is true. So I'll just use.
Okay, I can have that. Back to the debate.
Okay, I'm lost.
You answered the question.
I know. It's karma. But that does segue us into.
It actually segues. This is going somewhere.
Yeah.
This is a segue.
Speaking of lies, we're going to bust more myths in e-commerce. So, in a previous episode, we touched on some of the common misconceptions business owners have about running an e-commerce operation. And with both of you in the branding world, the technical / entrepreneurial sides, we're just going to dive deeper. So the first myth is, it was actually inspired by a video that I saw today on Instagram. It was a Shopify ad, actually. And it irked me because the video was an ad. So the girl was eating a packet of chips and she showed the brand of packet of chips, which is her own. She ate a chip, then put the chip packet on the table, took a photo of it. And then all of a sudden a laptop was there. And then she uploaded the photo on the laptop. And then now she has a store running. So the myth is, once built, e-commerce stores run themselves. So you open a store and it runs and boom. And it irked me. And I don't know why it irked me, but I want to discuss that. Because I think, to me, as a millennial or just someone that sees that ad, I'm instantly like, oh my God, that's how I can make $1 million wherever I am in the world. And it's just going to be a little aesthetic pen or notepad. And I just pop it on Shopify and boom. So I want to hear your thoughts.
I'm going to say nothing and allow Mikel to absolutely just dive straight into this one.
Why do you think it's a myth? Do you think it's a myth, Mikel?
Can you earn a lot of money through bright ideas, insane hard work, and building a business from the ground up with little money down and insane hours worked? Yes, that's not a myth. That's completely and utterly possible. If you're doing a business which is drop shipping or something like this, and you suddenly make a lot of money and there's no hard work in it, that just means you won the lottery. And the truth is that the vast majority of small businesses go out of business in the first year. Vast, like not even, especially these Shopify pop-up stores, right? I can't remember the statistic, but it's a mind-blowing, eye-watering number. 7 out of 10 or something. Don't hold me to that. We'll find it out.
It's in that 70% range. That's right.
So the idea that, so the truth of that ad, and look, I love Shopify. I have met Toby, the guy that built Shopify, and we both love the Ruby on Rails programming language, and we're both core committers and all this sort of stuff. And Shopify is a fantastic platform for those, small to medium businesses getting up and running. It's got a whole heap of features, all this sort of stuff. It's great. But the truth is, launching a Shopify site or any e-commerce site in of itself won't make you rich. The thing that's going to make you rich is doing what David's a specialist in finding the product or the position or the message that is different enough and in demand enough that people are going to buy it from you as opposed to buying it from Amazon or Walmart or Kmart or whomever, right? And that's the thing that takes work. Now, some people might launch that and somehow manage to hit the jackpot. They smashed their hands on a keyboard. They just happen to have the right insight at the right time, and boom, they're an overnight success, and everyone goes, oh my gosh, everyone can do that. That's fundamentally false. The chance of you achieving that instant success is effectively zero. But if you have an idea and you have some people who are willing to pay you for it, and they have said, if you sell that, I'll buy it from you, then by all means, launch the store. But just understand, it's not something that's going to make you $1 million month one. You might not even turn a profit for the first year. So you better have a way to generate income through that period to make sure you get there, so that by the time that store starts ramping up, you've got the money to support it. And understand, you are building a business, right? You are building a job. Nothing about e-commerce is passive. It's not a passive income stream. So the ad is appealing to the desire of someone being their own boss and running their own business. That's all great. That's fantastic. There's no myth in that, except that you basically have to be fundamentally slightly insane to run your own business. I'm very convinced of this, having done it. But yeah, I don't know. I think, should we not advertise like that? I don't think so. I think selling the dream is fundamentally what makes us human. We need to have something to aspire to that is fantastic and incredible and amazing and future, so that all of those days of waking up like I did at 5:30 this morning to do something that, happened 5 hours after I went to bed, it makes that worthwhile. You have to have something to push through that, so that when you get to the other end, you can go, well, I did it. It wasn't handed to me on a platter. So yeah, it's definitely not that easy. That's a myth. But yeah, David.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jess.
And I'll just add to that. There are there's lots of different ways to tell a brand story, to tell a brand message, to tell a marketing message, and a lot of it is the art of connecting dots, but it's also kind of removing the dots. And what I mean by removing the dots is like saying, well, okay, you did this, and then all of a sudden this happened, which obviously removes the dots of time in between actual acquisition of that thing, service, product, and this transformation, this outcome. It's kind of like, for those of us who have been around in business a while, when the fax machine came along, and all of a sudden you didn't only have the option of sending things in the mail or Federal Express, whatever. All of a sudden, oh my God, I can actually put a document or with multiple pages through this device, and in minutes, which now would be intolerable. Now, if it doesn't happen in 2 seconds, we're all very upset. But in minutes, wow, man, I can send a contract, and that person will, of course, just by the magic of it, going from me to them, they'll sign it immediately and I'll have closed the deal. Now that's false. Now that's a myth. So the mythological part is the eliminated time between one thing and another, or that one thing, like having a Shopify store doesn't do jack for you. It gives you a store. It doesn't fill in your marketing functions. It doesn't fill in your messaging functions. It doesn't fill in your getting attention, getting eyeballs, etc. So the synonymousness of having a XYZ and that's like me buying a Tesla. All of a sudden, I'm now a world-renowned race car winner driver or something. It's like those things are not. But there's the art of storytelling, and there's the art and the craft, and you don't want to push the boundary and the expectation where it's unreal. So that's just the nuancing and the finessing.
Yeah, I guess that's the genius of marketing, is that you basically fill in the blanks of that ad. So because it's done so well and the website looks beautiful and it looks like that's exactly how it's going to be, but then you realize, well, no, you need a designer for that, and then and I guess I'm coming at it from more of a protective standpoint, because I have a few friends that did that and now they've stopped, and I'm like, oh, if they could only just keep going. But they weren't a victim of that, but that's what it was. It was like, oh, I'm going to start selling bags. And it was a great idea. And then they kind of went lower and lower, kind of down to this apathetic, like, oh, well, there's a billion other e-commerce sites that sell the same kind of bags, and I can't do it like that. And it's an interesting conversation.
It's essentially, it's the unfortunate part is when what's pitched convinces the audience to misassign what is actually going to cause the outcome. That to me is the biggest problem. It's like the Shopify store will not cause a business to succeed. It may be part of the toolbox, the toolkit for that mix, and the fax machine won't do it, and the sneakers won't make me like freaking able to just dunk. And so, it's like, hey, there's a level of there's steps and there's scales and there are things. And I think there's an art. I think there's an art to having that truth be there, but also showing like if you actually have all the right pieces, you can actually get to someplace remarkable, but don't present it as the cause point, the thing that is the catalyst to make everything else fall into place.
Yeah, it's interesting, like with StoreConnect and reaching our customers, our clients. So we call people that pay us our clients, and people that pay those clients our customers, right? Because by extension. So reaching our clients and reaching our prospective clients has been a really interesting journey, because they're not in any particular market segment or product type or niche. We actually did an analysis of our first 50 clients on StoreConnect, and every one of them was in a different industry and a different city. Like, it was mind-blowing how random everyone was. But the commonality between them is they all had a drive to succeed and make their operations efficient, and to connect and get real-time information to and from their customers and their order tracking and improve their business processes. And they had all of these needs that weren't being serviced by the existing e-commerce market. And StoreConnect started simplifying that. So StoreConnect wasn't the reason they succeeded per se. The reason was they had this drive. But the StoreConnect was the tool that let them do it. Everyone can drive fast. It doesn't mean you're a Formula One driver. And if I put anyone watching this podcast who's not already an F3 or F2 driver, or a very, very good driver, like a race driver, into a Formula One car, you will crash. Like there is no, even if you go slowly, you will crash, or you'll stall the engine and you'll stop, because the way a Formula One car works is you have to go fast in order for the brakes to even work, because if the brakes get cold, they don't work. So, you have to be driving at the limit for the car even to operate properly. So, there's the tool, but you can't win a Formula One race without the best Formula One car, right? So that same analogy applies. The tool is not going to give you the success, but without the tool, you won't achieve the success. right? The thing that's missing is you, the elan vital. And this is why the whole AI, large language model hype, which is still hype, there are some aspects to it which is, important and could still work and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, the machine can't provide that spirit of innovation and creation and activity.
Love that. I love those points. Okay, well, on to the next myth. It is personalization is too expensive for small businesses, like providing personalization. Because I think if you look at, well, but it takes, do you think it takes a little bit more time?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but do you know how much more time it takes to actually go from being in a completely depersonalized organization that has not resonated and not humanized their interaction or any of that stuff? Do you know how long it takes to turn a customer into someone who's loyal, who will actually love you and stay by you and be able to overlook if there's a little hiccup that occurred that in the service or the delivery of something, that they don't jump ship? It's just that is mathematically and analytically and in every possible way in humankind the most worst absolute business philosophy in the history of mankind. Other than that, I have nothing really to say about it.
Don't hold back, David.
The passion man.
Look, I think there are definitely things about personalization that is hard to do and expensive and takes more time. I can agree with that. But adding a little bit of personalization is not hard. And continuing to add that is not hard if you have the right tools.
Give some examples. Like, what's something that a small business could invest in now that's not, it might cost something, whether it's money or time.
Let me give you some examples on. So I only know about how StoreConnect works primarily, right? So, for example, with StoreConnect, when you buy something, you get an email, right? Thank you for your purchase. As a small business owner, you can go in and edit that email. And on the thank you for your purchase, you could just, instead of saying thank you for your purchase, you could say thank you, Jessica, right? Bam, personalization. So making that modification is let's call it a 15-minute change, because you need to learn how to do it, find out how to do it, go and do it, right? Test it, maybe half an hour. So that could be the change that you do this week. Next week, you go into that same email, because now you know how the emails work. And straight after thank you, Jessica, you put a 2-sentence story about why purchasing directly from us makes such a difference to the future of small businesses worldwide. Personalization number 2. We've now spent, well, the second one's much faster because now you know where to get to it. So now you've spent a total of 45 minutes over 2 weeks. And I guarantee you those 2 changes will increase the love that Jessica has for your company, right? Because now you've called her by name and you've communicated something. Step 3, on the homepage, work out how to display the products that are selling the most on your store and having that update every hour. For a small business owner that doesn't know much about technology, this could be a couple of hours change, or they could pay someone to do it who's a consultant, like a StoreConnect partner. But that means when Jessica lands on the homepage, the products that are being displayed are the ones that are selling the highest volume, which means that it's probably the ones that she's seen somewhere that's gotten her to the homepage. So she can just click it and goes, oh, that was easy. So over 3 weeks now, we've spent effectively 0 money and maybe 2.5, 3 hours of time. And we've got 3 major personalizations in the store. What is completely out of reach of small businesses is going and hiring a marketing agency and paying them $100,000 to implement full site-wide personalization on the entire website from day one. Bam, right? That's not going to happen. But there's a thing is, if you increase by 7% and you do that 10 times, after 10 times, you've doubled. right? So 7% interest rate over 10 years doubles the... God, I hope I'm correct on that. I'm going to quickly just do the maths while I'm sitting here, but I'm pretty sure that is a true datum. But the small incremental gains are what gets you, if you increase by 1% per year, right? I'm just quickly work this out.
Well, Michael's doing the math on that. Let me just...
Yeah, if you increase 1% per week, you'll almost double the power of your store over a year. Right? It's going to increase by 50% on its previous value. So, this sort of small incremental changes are what makes things personal. Sending them a message that is communicating to them. When they call you on the phone with StoreConnect, you can pull it up, and instead of, "Hi, what's your name?" "Jessica." "Okay, how can I help you?" "I put an order through." "When did you put it through?" 2 hours ago. "I can't really find it. What was your address?" Blah, blah, blah. "Okay, yeah, and maybe it's in the other system. Let me go look it up." That's going to kill your personalization. If I can take the call and say, hi, Jessica, because I've got caller ID, the system's automatically pulled it up. "How can I help you?" Yeah, I just put through an order." "Oh, yeah, the one I can see right here." "Are you talking about the one you did online or the one you did in our store 10 minutes ago?" "Oh, the one I did in the store 10 minutes ago." "Okay, yeah, great. I can see you bought the blah, blah, blah. How can I help you?" That's personalization. You don't feel like a number. You haven't navigated 28 menus of press 1 for the thing that you don't want to do, or press 2 for the other thing you don't want to do. And if those two things aren't your option, please come in at 9 a.m. when our store opens. That is personalization, and they're the low-hanging fruit. I think small businesses are trying to boil the ocean with personalization. They just need to pick the fruit that's about to fall off the tree. There's your soundbite.
That is, yeah.
And I think and I think there's a cousin to that. I mean, I agree with everything that Michael has just gone through. I think there's a cousin to that as well. And the way I frame it is, it's kind of a little bit of like the amount of future that you actually incorporate into your deliverables. And I'll give you a simple example. Like, for anybody that knows me, they know that I really love our artisanal chocolate or flourless chocolate torts, things like that. So what happens is, a few years ago,
it's kryptonite.
It is my kryptonite. And until I have two slices, in which case then I become a Superman. But the thing that happens is there was a few years ago, from two different places. One is Dean and DeLuca, which is on the East Coast, and then Williams-Sonoma, which is on the West Coast. And it was around the holidays, and they sent out their catalogs, and they each have a flourless chocolate torte, which is, looking at the photographs, it's almost impossible to tell the difference. So I was like, oh my God, which one should I choose? So I did what David does. I'll order both, and I'll see which one's better. So I ordered both. But here was the interesting difference, and this is the kind of parallel to personalization that, without it being personalized, it is interesting. They both arrived all perfectly in wonderful condition. They were both lovely, but there was one difference between the two. One of them had a card that, on the one side of the card, it identified what type of flourless chocolate torte it was. On the flip side, it had a recipe for a bourbon whipped cream that goes divine with the thing. That was wonderful. What that did is that personalized for me, even though it didn't say David, it still kind of made it more personal. And so if I were going to order another one, I probably would get the one with that nice little cool little recipe, because I could now take this wonderful flourless chocolate torte and make it phenomenal. So to me, it's that little element. If we can incorporate something that anticipates the next thing that our customer or client will need and kind of build it in, that already shows that we're in tune with them. What is personalization but really like being in communication with the recipient? So if we've done something that really parallels with what they're like, oh, how did they know, quote unquote, air quotes for those who are not watching us, how did they know? Wow, they get me. That to me is another harmonic of personalization, without it necessarily being something that's named me, etc.
Yeah, beautiful. It's just like pleasantly surprising customers,
Exactly.
that little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, in the customer commerce book, one of the chapters is bring surprise and joy, right?
Oh.
And that's the point. If you can surprise and bring joy and deliver something beyond what the person was expecting, and that does not mean free, just give them more than they were expecting. Or like that card, that recipe, what did that cost the person to send it?
Probably about 2 cents.
A cent or two for the second side of printing on the same card, and maybe an hour or two of design. This is where personalization comes into its own, and that's what you need to do. Don't boil the ocean.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. We don't want to fry eggs on the ocean. Well, that's going to wrap up for this episode. I think we're just going to keep the myth busting a series because there's so many that I have ready, but we kind of lengthen it out, which is good. It's juicy. It's value packed. So we'll see you guys next week. Next week where we have a guest on our podcast. So the Three Amigos will be back the week after.
Awesome.
So until then, have a great week. See you guys.
Keep on selling. Bye for now.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you had an awesome time, leaving you with ideas on how to improve your business and wow customers. If you'd like to leave a real customer's story, head to the link in our show notes and cuss away. Love the show? Please subscribe and leave a review because that enables us to help more businesses in building real relationships with customers and grow more rapidly. See you next time.